About me too.
Sal, we should have rented a Ferrari and hired Phil Collins.
Oh, I know.
We're here in Miami.
We're here, listen, we're here in the Mecca. Now, just so people understand, Miami's, you have Greco, you have all these, how are you, sir?
Howdy.
You have all these, see, it's kind of almost like New York City.
Degenerates?
Yeah, but you have everything in Miami. We're Brickell. I mean, I love Hialeah. Now you have the new soccer stadium there. But
Soccer Mom Stadium?
Yeah, the Soccer Mom Stadium. But this is Miami Beach. This is the original Collins Avenue. This is where Scarface was there's a scene, if you remember, where Tony Montana ends up that watches his friends get chainsawed. This is it. This is Collins Avenue, Miami Beach.
That's Frank who chainsaws the guy,
Yes,
right?
yes. And here, right to our right, we'll be going there soon, is Muscle Beach, which I discussed just last week. That it's not the Venice Beach, Muscle Beach, but it's the Miami Muscle Beach, and there's a lot of people, these social influencers or social engineers, they go over there and tape them and take videos of them working out and stuff. So,
But wait a second, Sal. We have something important to discuss because earlier this week, you basically broke the internet with a viral video of an NYPD incident. Honestly, I don't think that, first of all, I don't think that video would have gone as far as it did, and I don't think that incident would have gotten the attention that it's getting if you hadn't made it viral. So first of all, for anybody who might have missed that, you have to fill us in on A, what happened, and then what's happened since you put out the video.
There's so much, right? So, first off, listen, you know I get a lot of things, the Sal Greco
Tips.
show. I get tips, I get info from everywhere. A lot of that comes from insiders, people that are in the police department themselves. Either they're retired or they're active and they want to remain anonymous.
Right.
They're sick of what's going on. It's been a shit show.
True whistleblowers.
Yeah, they're whistleblowers. So I received this video, and it really had, I saw it, it didn't have a lot of, it had views, but like it's not getting any attention. It had just occurred a couple of hours prior, and a few hours prior to that, there's the Art Deco, from Art Deco Center in the beach. But they had said to them, they had put this video up, and no one, they were begging someone, or they were saying like, please get this attention of this.
help it get viral.
Help us in this situation, what happened here. Taking a look at it, I said, whoa, you see the video, and it's two detectives. They're
basically beating the crap out of a guy.
Yeah, basically that's what it looks. It looks like that from a civilian angle, and I break it down in a police angle when I can. And how are you?
I'm good. What you talking about?
Police misconduct and NYPD stuff.
Well, I'm from DC, and there's definitely a lot of that going on.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
Washington DC is the, I guess, the deep state capital of the world, right?
I guess so.
How are you enjoying Miami?
I'm actually having a grand time. We're just getting started.
You and your girls hitting the beach.
We actually going to go get us something to eat, and then we hitting the beach. And then we hitting the boat party. Then we hitting the pool party.
Well, you ladies should visit the Sal Greco on
The what?
the Sal Greco.
The Sal Greco. Okay.
That's Sal.
Is that where the rich people at? Yes.
Have a nice time, girls. Anyway, you were saying, Sal, you're a magnet.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I hope it's not in a social engineer to be a magnet. But so these.
You were the next item on the menu.
Oh God. So listen. So the two detectives were apprehending what they believed to be someone that was ID'd by the ghost, by a suspect. Okay, and it was really some of the most brutalist stuff you're gonna see how it was handled, because a lot of that stuff you're not trained to do. All right, so they finally get this guy handcuffed, and there's
Some say he was resisting arrest.
Some say he's resisting, passively resisting. He's not aggressively resisting. He could passively resist because.
I have a question though. Isn't there some, just almost like instinct when someone is trying to beat you up to defend yourself, that there's a line of resisting arrest versus just an instinctual like reflex action of getting punched and reacting?
They don't. So this is what they do. You passively resist, it's still resisting arrest, right? If someone comes up to you, they're a police officer, you could recognize that we'll get into that in a little bit. You know that this person's a police officer, says, you know, turn around and get your hands behind your back, you're under arrest. For whatever the reason is, you just comply.
Yes, exactly. If you don't do that, you're resisting
that's
arrest.
not what happened here, though. There's going to be, so the video.
Frankly, that's the smartest thing to do, to not get your arms broken and beaten up.
Yes, you don't want to end up like this poor guy has a broken orbital bone and 15 stitches.
That video made me think about that. If the police came at me, I'd be like, look, I didn't do anything, but just I'm going to put my hands up and put them behind my back. Just don't hurt me.
Don't hurt anyone.
I'm going to cooperate. Say that.
Say that. Don't turn around and try to do it. I mean,
tell it to the judge.
Yeah, this guy
Mr. Greco.
Yeah, this guy didn't do it, but he you know. But again, you're going to hear all the mitigating factors. You got to hear
the issue, right?
Totality.
People want to argue with it.
It's the totality of the circumstances. What people are missing here. A lot of people. I'm saying the Joe Cop Hairbag crowd.
Exactly.
The regular person, the overwhelming majority, realizes for what it was from the beginning, because it didn't seem like what was being said. Like, you just run up and like, where did they train you to do like gangbusters going in there like that?
Right.
And they didn't have no radios. We're about to get to that. So
that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Seeing this video, I didn't put it out. Now, I'm never going to tell you if I knew the full facts, but I put it out, and then eventually, it just
you
went viral.
You didn't say much.
I didn't
say this is police brutality.
No, I didn't say anything. I didn't give.
You just said, what do people think about this incident?
Yeah, because I said, there's this excessive force. Is it necessary force? Is it resisting arrest, or is it extrajudicial punishment?
Trying to provoke debate.
Correct. It's a debate over a video that undoubtedly, whether myself or anyone else puts this up, will eventually
public interest matter.
It's a public interest matter. It will eventually end up in someone who's higher up in their possession, and it's going to go with because if you watch the video, what you don't realize is they were already on the phone with dispatch. So internal affairs was already on this, meaning everyone up the chain is aware of this situation as it happens. So whether I put this out or someone put it out, it's going to be. It's going to be looked at.
They're stomping this guy's head.
You end up seeing how this goes down, right? It was unbelievable, the turn of events, how quick.
Stomped him after he was cuffed.
He got stomped. Guys, the video's so brutal that, I get.
Can't even show it.
Yeah, I can't. You'll get not demonetized, but they'll make.
Well, we got to talk about that too. How you.
They did, yeah.
You got dinked. So you were really going viral with this, and it's like, I want to set aside from people's minds. It's not like, oh, I went viral. But that's how these things get public attention and go somewhere.
And then
Mamdani retweeted it.
Correct.
A lot of people, Goldman saw it. Not that we like those guys, but in other words, this is, and look, it's a thorny issue because now it's going to become a Democrat talking point for defund the police. I don't want to defund the police, but I also don't want the police to stomp this guy or, have me be choked outside Twitter and then lie about it. The police have to be responsible.
Yeah, we're about to get to that, but back to how this went. Mamdani posted this. I guess Jack Stern's vehicle.
Yeah, he parked over here.
Jack Stern's vehicle is here.
He left the thing up.
So what happened is Mamdani posted. It already started going viral. Immediately there were questions. The questions came from Attorney General Letitia James.
Oh yeah, what did she say?
It came from the Brooklyn District Attorney. They saw the video, and this is the thing. When important people start seeing it, police commissioners, attorneys, prosecutors, defense attorneys, the soccer mom, you're gonna start to see movement, and that's what had happened. So Mamdani actually jumped in front of everyone by saying what he said, which people say he condemned the cop. He said the actions in the video were, it seemed brutal, which they're not accurate. Listen, kicking someone in the face, if you
smashed them into the bottles.
And these people who think that WWE, not even WWE, MMA like
it's like Jack Reacher at the liquor store.
Yeah, if you think it's like Jack Reacher in a liquor store. If you think that's okay, and you're saying You're
that could happen to you.
Yeah, and they call this guy, there's a lot of rhetoric online. They called him a savage. They called him all these things. Just
The suspect?
a suspect.
What he was just getting beaten up.
He wasn't even.
I don't think he got one hit in on them.
Get to the point where the guy's not even the guy they're looking for, okay? So
I don't think he was even trying to actually hit them. He was just like holding his arms out to
I
prevent.
caught across to the beach because I don't like
It's a little
getting
baking.
crowded around here. But
Well, we're gonna jaywalk. Sorry. That's my bad. Sorry, Zal. I'm used to New York.
he's too used to New York.
Well, that guy hesitated, so I was going.
You know, when you're 6'3" and you weigh 240 or whatever I
it's
weigh
like
these
hitting
days,
a deer.
yeah, they're gonna stop for me. So, and I've pulled over plenty of cars just that same way and arrested people. So, I don't have any fear of that kind of stuff. But so, getting back to this, so Mamdani posted, and they started making it political, and then the union come in. He didn't condemn anyone. He said the same exact thing. I don't want to defend the guy either, because
Right.
you know how, there's some things that Mamdani did recently, his wife and stuff. I've been all over the guy. But he is correct. He is the mayor. He knows the facts of this case, and he said they're investigating this. That's all he said. He didn't condemn anyone. But you know what? He must have known. I mean, I'm not going to say who knew what, because he's the mayor, though. He must have known
Yeah, something.
the investigation. So when he comes out with that, you start to hear rumblings of what happened. This is what really happened, and I unveiled it on my show. You guys could check it out, the Sal Greco Show. It's on YouTube, it's on Rumble, it's on X.
And also, people should subscribe to
Correct.
thesalgreco.substack.com. We're going to have a sponsor-exclusive segment right after this.
Yes, and so what's important in here, we're close to Muscle Beach,
Smells like a foot over here.
but you could go either way on this sidewalk, that one, but this
Well,
is
let's go with the trees.
a lot less congested. So what happens is, once he posts that, you had the furor of all these pro-cop active. They don't even know the facts.
The Hairbag
The
Society. got
hairbags,
involved.
all these rah-rah people that think bloodthirsty stuff. There's like a blood sport. You want to see that. I hope it doesn't happen to the people that cheer that on, or your family members. You'll be screaming, lock everyone up yourselves. And I never said that, because the full details were never revealed till later on. But these are the facts of the case.
They like to say police work looks bad on camera.
Police work looks bad on camera. Depends who you got to follow your training. How about that?
Which way you want to go?
We'll try this way. We'll go back later for Muscle Beach. But
So Mandami
so
tweets it.
Mamdani posts this, it becomes a whole thing, and then basically the crap hit the fan, because these are the facts that now you're hearing about. Number one, they're on video and they go in there. You could read the Daily News article. The witnesses there, not only the one video recorder, the actual witnesses, the guy that runs the store, they all say the same thing. These two guys ran in like gangbusters.
The cops.
Did not identify themselves, and that's when you start seeing the filming. They never said turn around. They never said
And one
any
of them
that stuff.
wasn't even wearing a police uniform,
No,
right?
one is not wearing uniform. They both are not ID'd. You can't see their shield.
And also, when you see somebody wearing a police T-shirt, it's a little bit.
Yesterday,
Anybody could get a police T-shirt.
you don't know what you're dealing with. We
Yeah.
don't know what we're dealing with. We just see two guys. One guy has a vest says police. We don't know what agency. You don't know anything. He doesn't say anything.
Didn't have a badge either. He just had
Doesn't-
an embroidered thing.
Yeah, so you can't see his badge, his real badge. So these are the things you have to have identifiers. They tell you that. People want to know body camera. Narcotics doesn't have a body camera because they have undercovers. Now, to explain how this works in narcotics, you have a set team. There's a tactical plan. The prisoner van's supposed to be very close by. And then there's the chase car. Chase car is two detectives, two cops, which those two more than likely are the chase car. I can't confirm that, but that's what I've been told. The reason it takes 7 minutes for backup, number one, the prisoner van, the other team, the rest of the team, had apprehended the correct guy. So the correct guy is in the van.
Whoa, back up. You got to explain why, because on the video, these guys are heard. They're there for a long time, and the one guy who's standing on the dude and stomps on his ass after he's been cuffed. He's like, what's taking so long?
Yeah.
So they're verbalizing that some kind of delay is happening.
There's a delay. And you know why there's a delay? Because they didn't have a radio. And we're going to get to that
That's
in
a
a second.
big deal.
That is the biggest deal. There's a failure in leadership. So
Yes. and
these two
organization.
detectives were struggling with this suspect. They had the wrong guy because the other team had the right guy in the van. There's no communication because the sergeant, for the last 3 weeks minimally, it might be, I don't know, 3 weeks was what I was told. For 3 weeks, they've been going out, doing this kind of stuff, using only WhatsApp. There's no radio. The
Why
radio,
is that? Is that official NYPD?
No, it's not. Officially, that's like a suspendable offense because you need to have your radio, because the radio, you'll be able to communicate with dispatch. Well, technically, you're communicating with your unit and the division.
Does
all the
WhatsApp
narcotics.
delete messages?
Yes.
Automatically?
It can, but also...
So that's crazy.
Well, WhatsApp, your text...
And also,
You
the
can't-
NYPD doesn't control that network. If WhatsApp goes down,
No. But WhatsApp, first of all, you're using your personal phone.
It's crazy.
For department business, which is now, your phone is now evidence. But, so, it sounds crazier as we go along.
Let me give you an analogy too, because all the Joe Cop hairbags are like, oh yeah, pro cop, this, that. So beating the shit out of the wrong guy and breaking his orbital bone
Is what they want?
But I'm saying
He resisted.
That is as if you check into the hospital to have your spleen removed, and they're like, oh, sorry, Mr. Greco, we took out your kidneys. It's going to ruin the rest of your life, but it's just a mistake.
Yeah, it's a mistake.
It's kind of the same level of accident, you know, like it cannot be.
Yeah. So now they don't have radios because the sergeant has been letting his team go out without a radio
Crazy.
for at least 3 weeks, which is against not only safety protocol procedures. That is why everything ended up happening. Now, they're saying they ID'd this individual as the suspect they were looking for. But who ID'd them? Because someone ID'd the other guy who's the real
Which
perpetrator.
they had
they're looking
already
for.
in custody.
Now, the people and the advocates, you can't resist arrest, the big Joe Coppers, and they just so the record, Joe Cop will defend a cop going on national television, beating someone up who's not even handcuffed. And when they're handcuffed, blowing their brains out, they'll say, yeah, the police department. These are the kind of people that, thank God, you're no longer on the force. And people should look into if your mental capacity, what's wrong with your brain. So we see the video going all over the place and what happened there. And then the sergeant, you could hear that what happened there. So they also broke his orbital bone. Oh, the sergeant had no vest also, and the other detective had no bulletproof vest.
Haven't you told us in the past, Sal, that your greatest piece of safety equipment as a police officer was the radio?
Always. You know why? That's how you get
the
backup.
cops, right?
Nobody knew what was going on. There's no communication. So and you hear at the end of the video, I'm not doing this WhatsApp crap.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The detective was
Wow.
furious. And you could tell, by the way, the two of them,
Whoa.
for everyone that says you
Whew.
need to run the 1.5 miles, which is it's not a state law, not a requirement. That's why there's a lawsuit with that. You need to learn how to stay in shape. You need to learn how to grapple. That's going to save your life. Definitely not running 1.5 miles. So just so you understand, they were huffing like this. And by the way,
That wasn't even the toughest guy in the world.
no, but here's the thing. He has the right to passively resist. You know why? You never ID'd yourself. You're pounding on the guy, right? If I'm in there and you run up on me and put yourself in that situation, you, me, anyone here, anyone
It
watching.
takes a minute to understand what's going
You're
on.
in a liquor store, and next thing you know, you're being run up on by two guys, one guy wearing you don't know who it is, and all of a sudden they're swinging and beating you to the pulp. What would you do?
Yeah,
At that point,
why didn't they
you're-
just say, hey, you're under arrest?
No,
hold up
you
a
never hear
taser?
that. You know, where is the taser?
Why didn't they just do that?
There's no taser. And what are you doing? Because the premise is you have the right to arrest anyone,
There's
but
the police
you
right
have
there.
to have probable cause to arrest someone. You have to have probable cause to arrest someone. There was no probable cause because you ID'd the wrong guy. And we still don't know who is the ghost, that's they call him the ghost, that ID'd this guy. Because you're going to start to wonder, well, if someone ID'd someone else that was already in custody, Did these two knuckleheads decide that they were going to do?
Get their friend
Yeah.
beat up?
Well, they're gonna just go and it's him because that's what they're saying on WhatsApp. And I say knuckleheads because guys, I can't like. Where did you learn the tactic of kicking someone repeatedly in the head?
That was bad.
Whether he's passively resisting.
He's on the ground.
He's on the ground. He can't use his other hand. He can't.
There's a moment in the fight where they're telling to put his hand behind his back, but they're sitting on him. He's fat as hell,
Yeah.
and his arm is pinned. How can he do
He
it?
can't do it. He can't.
So that's what I'm saying. It
and
didn't even look like he was
he's
resisting.
Scared of it. You would be scared to death.
Right.
Getting pummeled by a guy.
Right.
By the way, the other
You might
guy.
not even be thinking
the
straight.
guy who's out of breath is actually. I mean, I would say this guy goes to the gym every single day, but he's probably not in the greatest physical shape because he's huffing and puffing, which shows you that fights. Well, he might be in great shape for it, but they were struggling for about 20, 30 seconds. That in itself already saw how he's huffing and puffing, which shows the mile-and-a-half run, that's not what matters. It should be being in shape, right? So that happens. So then you now know the facts of that case. And now the two officers were not only modified, they were suspended. The sergeant has now been modified, but this goes up the chain because it's a complete failure of supervision to have police officers go out there with no radio.
It's not just supervision, though. It's organization. It's the whole process. Like,
Yeah.
that's the difference. You know, two people just walk around beating people up. That's way different than an organized. You know, the NYPD has radios and dispatchers and
You just saw-
marked cars and uniforms
saw-
because it's
You saw police officers just go by us with their
bikes.
with their little bicycles, right? What do they have on them? A
A
radio.
lot of radios and guns and bulletproof. They
most
were
im-
obviously the police.
Even if you're running undercover, right? Which is undercover doesn't have to, right? But police officers have to have a radio for the very reason of what occurred. Why? With communication, you know, we have one in custody.
Right.
So they never walk in there. They won't. They're gonna go, wait, you have one in custody? Who is this guy? Because that's what happened. It was a failure of supervision. And yes, these two detectives, you know what's coming next, because I just told you.
Firing and
Tish
probably
James,
trial.
all these people are gonna come in because
They're probably going to go to jail.
You got the wrong guy. Oh, by the way, so they arrest the guy. He gets a desk appearance ticket for resisting arrest, which is not an offense. You could get a desk appearance ticket on, which means a supervisor had to override that. And even so, there's now another person that said the same detective had locked him up in the same kind of sweep, and that guy was let out the back door, and then asking if there was avoided arrest for that. So
wait a minute.
there's another case, by the way, just so
We
you
got to
know.
get into those details, but we only have about 2 minutes here, so I want to make sure that people know. We're going to discuss what Sal just brought up and more on the sponsor exclusive segment.
There's a lot
here
going on in the country, Minnesota
in
also.
just 5 minutes. But people need to join us on thesalgreco.substack.com, on Crowdsource the Truth. Subscribestar.com and patreon.com /crowdsource the truth and crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. There's a lot to discuss, but there's still more police details. I want to go in depth with you on exactly what that means about that desk appearance, and it sounds like
Yes.
the police. We'll get into detail, but we're out of time on that for right now. This is what I love when we talk about this, is that you know the details of these police procedures. They're going to help people understand this more than just watching a video of a beatdown.
Yeah, which it's hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to watch because
It's the worst kind of thing really since Rodney King.
Yeah, and
They
I
broke
don't
his
want
orbital bone.
I don't want you to think this is not what the police department does. This is not what narcotics does. This is an incident that, and again, I don't know if there's other incidents in the past, because remember, there's no cameras and stuff. But here, this is an incident where there's a chance to have real reform on both ends.
Right.
Okay. Remember, I understand that culture and that job, and there's a lot. There's 90+% of the police officers are good people and they do their job. But this is the kind of stuff where then everything falls back on their shoulder. These guys are now, you won't hear about them again other than when their trial or whatever comes up. And I didn't condemn anyone either, because it's going to be a jury of your peers that are going to decide what is your fate. Whether it's the police department and charges, when you get charges, the police commission would decide at the end, and of course then in a jury trial, the jurors decide. Not me, not you.
And you also said something important though, that this is an inflection point for both sides, the
Correct.
public and the police, because
But it's not 1960, and you just don't random pick people up, whether you think they're guilty or not. It is not your job to provide extrajudicial punishment. This might have worked in the 60s or whatever, in the 70s. There's a snake right there.
oh wow, holy
There's
cow.
a snake right there.
This is more of our
There's a snake.
National Geographic. It's probably not a dangerous snake.
Maybe it is, who knows?
He's got his head up on a swivel. I think that looks like a pretty not so dangerous snake. But anyway, there we go, Sal. We'll be back in just a moment with more snakes.